Hello everybody, this is the Starving Martian, and today we are looking at Mega Man. This is a Mega Man action figure from 1994, put out by Bandai, and it is hands down my favorite Mega Man figure. It is my favorite physical interpretation of the character, and just an all-around excellent toy slash display piece. I have a shelf in my living room dedicated to video game characters, and yeah, this guy has a place of honor on that shelf. So, so first of all, let's talk about posability. Usually, that's not the first thing we talk about, but that's one of the great things about this particular figure is he has a large range of posability. You can see here I've already got him in a dynamic, about to blast you in the face kind of pose. And I'm not often very good at posing figures. If you see any of my display shelves, everybody tends to be just standing straight up with their arms by their sides and their heads looking forward, and that's good enough for me. Um, but this guy here, he's able to pull off some pretty good poses. His head swivels, his arms are on these hinges, uh, with a swivel there as well, so you get free range of motion. His legs, there's nothing at the knee, but they come up like this, kind of standard action figure, but they also swivel, and so you're able to get some decent poses out of this guy. But if you just want to have him just stand around like, hey, how you doing? It looks pretty good like that as well. The cannon arm here does rotate, so depending on where you like to position the little trigger part. I tend just to have it up front because I don't want the screw hole showing. And so yeah, that's his posability. Now let's take a look at his details, because the reason I like this guy is that he's not detailed the same way a modern Mega Man figure would be detailed. This guy almost looks like he was an experiment in designing Mega Man X. He's got these chiseled abs, these muscular features, and I particularly like the face, the head sculpt here. Um, this is not a little cutesy chibi anime Mega Man, and I really don't like the modern interpretation of Mega Man as the little cutesy character, the little anime sprite. I mean, it's Mega Man. When you were playing the original games way back in the day, it didn't matter that he was like just a little bundle of pixels, so you could barely make out what he was supposed to look like. Um, you were running around with a cannon on your arm, blasting enemies, and you felt, super about it. And this is what you imagine the character would look like if he wasn't a tiny little 8-bit sprite. Um, I think the face has just enough hint to it of the box art at the time, which was Japanese anime inspired without going full on it. Um, see, the colors continue to the back. The back, of course, is where you get all the screw holes. But the design of the character actually reminds me of some of the box art that was used for like Mega Man 3 and 4. Let me show you. This is from Mega Man 3. It's on my Nintendo DS from the Mega Man Legacy Collection. And it's probably not coming out excellent from on the camera, but yeah, that's about what I'm talking about. You can see that the face is very similar, at least the eyes, the eyebrows. So so yeah, when I think Mega Man, when I visualize what he would look like, this is more or less accurate. Now, this, as I said, was put out in 1994. This was the last year Mega Man was on the original Nintendo NES. Mega Man 6 came out on the NES in 1994. And so this is his classic vintage look. um, before he moved on to the Super Nintendo and they started modifying and refining what Mega Man looked like. Um, I picked this guy up a while ago at a used retro kind of collectible shop, and he cost me like 10 or 12 bucks. Um, you might have noticed that he's got some paint missing, some scratches here, some more noticeable on his back. But looking at the samples available online on eBay for affordable prices, this guy is in excellent condition. He originally came with two accessories, a fist, which you could plug into here, and which I sadly do not have, and this missile, which I had to buy separate. I found this on eBay. This cost me $13. This missile cost me more than the figure did. And honestly, it was a waste of money because I'm never going to display him with the missile, but at least I can show it off to you guys. So, this cannon is not actually spring loaded. This here just, the button, you just push it, slide it forward and backwards to push the projectile out. So, you just snap this into place. And this is kind of the bummer about the missile here, is that it sticks out so far. It doesn't look natural. I wish this peg was a lot shorter so that this part would be flush to the cannon. But this is obviously a charged shot. There's no way this is just a regular Mega Buster beam. But he's got that going on there. So let's test this. Let's see. I don't have any other Mega Man figures. I don't have Cutman or anything to try him out on. But I do have Crash Test Dummy. Come on. Stand up. Someone says if he doesn't want to get shot with a missile. That's your lot in life. Alright, so Mega Man versus Crash Test. Or Crash Man. No, wait, Crash Man is a character. Never mind. Let's see how this works. There we go. Now, here's the cool thing about this figure and this line. Like I said, he came with a fist that he could fire off, which works because in some of the games he actually does that. There's an ability you could collect in one of the games called Hard Knuckle. I believe that's in Mega Man 3. I could be wrong. Which basically you fire a fist. Mega Man, when he's running around, he's not shooting anybody, is depicted as having two fists. So it makes sense to have another fist. I don't miss having the hand though, because the Mega Buster like that just looks better to me anyway. And so he came with the fist. He came with the missile, the charged shot here. But the cool thing was the other characters in the line, the Robot Masters, each also had a firing gimmick. So, for example, use Cutman. Cutman had, instead of his hand, he had those scissors that he has on the top of his head. And you would push a button or slide a slider or whatever, and it would pop out off the top of his head and attack. Now, what was cool about that, of course, is in the Mega Man games, you defeat an enemy and you take their power. So, all of the characters, all the figures in the line, their specific missiles, all had this sort of end to it. So you defeat Cutman, and then you could plug his scissors into the Mega Buster and have that spinning scissor shot that he has in the game. So it's not exactly the same. I mean, obviously you don't get a new color scheme, but you could actually use your Mega Man to defeat Robot Masters, and then Mega Man could use their powers. It was a pretty awesome thing. There's a pretty cool commercial on YouTube that you could see that on. I'll try to track it back down. I'll put it in my liked videos. So if you want to see that in action, you could do so there. Alright, so yeah, that's Mega Man. I've been going through a little bit of a kick lately. I've been replaying some of the Mega Man games. I'll tell you one thing, I am horrible at video games. I love them to death, but I can't do a thing in them. I have never beaten a Mega Man game outside of Dr. Wily's Revenge as a kid. That's the one on the Game Boy, and I only beat that because I used to have the Game Genie for the Game Boy. So yeah, that doesn't really count. But the thing I love about Mega Man is even if I couldn't defeat any, like if I could defeat some of the Robot Masters, but not all of them, but I could still play through all their stages because it lets you choose right from the get-go which stage you want to go in, and if you fail, you can just pick a different stage, have fun in that one. So I always appreciated that. Us terrible players still got to enjoy a good chunk of the game. As far as size goes, he's a good size. Here he is next to our Hannah Dundee, who's about Jurassic Park size. And you can see he's a little bit taller, a bit beefier than your average action figure. Um, Obviously, he towers over Will Robinson here. And so he's a decent size action figure and looks good on a shelf. As I said, they're pretty expensive. I was looking at them recently on eBay when I was tracking down the missile. And, for one in decent condition, I think the cheapest I saw was around $35. And you'll want to check and see which of his accessories he comes with. Like I said, there should be a missile and also a fist. If you're going to be paying a lot for this guy, get as many goodies with him as you can. So this has been the Starving Martian. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll be coming back at you with another review before too long. Until then, catch you later, guys. Have a good one.